Hello, everybody, and welcome into today's episode of Around the Slice. Today, we are, of course, back for the staple day after Bills game reaction show. And buckle up because I got a lot to say about this, as I'm sure everyone does. And if you do as well, feel free to drop down in the comments below if you agree with any of my points, disagree. I love that engagement. I love talking with you guys. And if you're listening on the audio platforms, Apple, Spotify, or whatnot, I encourage you and welcome you even to come over to the Around the Slice YouTube channel because we do. Obviously, I just said you can engage with comments. I love engaging with you guys, but there's YouTube exclusives. I do YouTube only videos that the audio platforms don't get. So I encourage you to come on over if you're not already and subscribe, like and subscribe. So, without further ado, let's just get into it. The basic score: New England Patriots beat the Buffalo Bills 29-25. Very sad and embarrassing performance. But before we get into the weeds of everything, here Bills inactives pregame. There were 6. 2 of them were injury related. So Sean McDermott on Friday ruled out defensive tackle Ed Oliver. We'll talk about the dynamics of missing him and how it fared without him in a bit. And then, excuse me. And then tight end Quentin Morris is also out. They didn't bother elevating a tight end from the practice squad like Joel Wilson. They just rolled with Knox and Kincaid. So, but you didn't have Morris for that special teams acumen or blocking, unfortunately. And then the 4 healthy scratches, same cast of characters as last 2 weeks. Safety, DeMar Hamlin. Linebacker, A.J. Klein. Offensive lineman, Jermaine Ifedi. And offensive lineman, Alec Anderson. Anderson and Ifedi are in case stuff happens with any other offensive lineman that get injured. And then DeMar Hamlin, unfortunately, you just don't. You roster 5 safeties, but excuse me, there's like a frog in my throat. You roster 5 safeties, but you don't have 5 active on game day because you have. I've said this before. You have Poyer, Hyde, Taylor Rapp, and then you have Poyer, Hyde, Taylor Rapp, and then you have Cam Lewis for special teams acumen. If his stinger, like his next stinger or whatever it was, had lingered from last game, then DeMar Hamlin would have been up and active. But it wasn't a problem for Cam Lewis, so elite gunner and special teamer. So those were the inactives pregame. And then I don't want to go. The refs were as bad as the last couple weeks, like in London or against the Giants, but the refs were still pretty bad in this Bills game. They called multiple penalties in the Bills. It started when they called the OPI, offensive pass interference, against Latavius Murray. He was literally running his route, and he accidentally bumped into a Giants guy. He didn't push him, or Giants, still on last week. Patriots defender. I don't know who it was. I can't recall. But doesn't matter. Irrelevant. He was trying to run a route, and his route out of the backfield, and he accidentally bumped into a Patriots player, and they said, "Oh, offensive pass interference." He didn't even push him. He didn't even have his hands at him. He just accidentally bumped into him. Crap call there. And then later in the game, Taron Johnson got a couple of holding penalties called on him that the ball wasn't even thrown his way. Taron even said it after the game. I don't know what they called me for. The ball wasn't even targeted my way, thrown to my guy I was covering. So that was pretty stupid. I know people are going to say the Josh Allen roughing the passer, he embellished it where he barely got hit and he acted and he, fell to the ground. Yeah, he did, but it was still roughing the passer, but I'll admit it, he embellished it. Good acting job, but I thought the refs were pretty awful once again. Refs overall this season, not just the Bills, of course the Bills, but across the NFL, they've been pretty bad. So, next, obviously, we're gonna get to my staple weekly stock report. So, stock up, these guys really impressed or helped their case this game. First, James Cook. Here are stats to get him out of the way: 12 carries, 56 yards, but through the air, 3 catches, 46 yards, and 1 touchdown. It's 102 yards from scrimmage. That's pretty good. Combining, because 56 was 46, 102. Combining receiving and rushing and receiving in that order, I should say. I thought James Cook. I think part of the problems with this offense. Well, I'll get to the problems with this offense. I have like 4 or 5 key points that I can kind of recollect to you. Not recollect. Kind of share with you guys that I think could help fix this offense. Because let's be honest, we need it. Next, wide receiver Khalil Shakir. Nothing dazzling or amazing, but amazing. But for a player that's been pretty relatively quiet this season, it was nice to see him get 4 catches for 35 yards. Next stuck up, Dalton Kincaid. This was the Dalton breakout game. Now, he didn't get a touchdown like I had predicted in the preview on Monday, Thursday, 4 days ago. But he did have Dalton Kincaid. He did have 8 catches for 75 yards, and he was 8 of 8 on those catches. I don't think he dropped a single one. Linebacker Terrell Bernard. I mean, this guy just continues to be all around the ball. 11 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 1 fumble recovery. I know people say that fumble recoveries don't matter. It's just luck. If the ball bounces your way, it does. If the ball doesn't bounce your way, it doesn't. But no, that's instincts. That's football instincts. If a player knows how to be around the ball, then credit them with the fumble recovery. It's knowing heads up to be around the ball. Next, defensive end AJ Ebeneza. 2 tackles, 1 QB hit. He was so close to a strip sack, or a fumble, I should say, forcing a fumble. Either way, because Mac Jones completed it to Kendrick Bourne somehow. I have no idea how. It's pretty good defensive coverage, but whoever, Taron Johnson, I believe. But he still got in there. But AJ Epineza if he came a split second this much earlier, he would have gotten a fumble, and the Bills probably would have covered. Because he was swiping in his arm the minute he threw that ball. So if he had just come a split second earlier, would have forced the fumble. Next, a couple of safeties here. Safety Jordan Poyer, who had 10 tackles, 1 sack, 2 QB hits. It's rare you see a safety, especially at his age, get a sack, but they dial up the safety blitz pretty well, and Poyer was the only sack in the game. That just it's pretty sad when you need a safety to get your only sack in the game. That means your D-line isn't doing anything at all. And then other safety, Micah Hyde, 3 tackles, 1 tackle for loss. He had a couple of nice, think of the hit stick on Madden. He had a couple of nice big hit stick hits on there. And then mixed. These are players that didn't impress me, but didn't disappoint. Maybe a bit more disappointment than impressed, but they didn't help or hurt the case. They were just kind of ordinary. They were just kind of there. First, this is a big one. QB Josh Allen. He was 27 and 41, 66% completion percentage, 265 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 1 fumble that he did lose, 17 rushing yards, and 1 touchdown. I know everyone's going to point to, and I am too, so I'll try to break it down for you guys. The first play of the game, very first play, Patriots got the ball. So I should say the first play for the Bills, because Patriots got the first play of the entire game. But first play, I should say, for the Bills of the game. They dial up like a 30-yard bomb, and Josh throws a pick. I blame it on a little of half and half. Ken Dorsey, first of all, I know he's an aggressive play caller, but you're calling a 30-yard bomb in the very first play of the game? What are you doing? And then Josh, you got to check out of that play. Like, I don't trust Ken Dorsey anymore, so you got to check out of that much at all anymore, I should say. You got to check out of that play for Josh Allen. I mean, come on, Josh. You're throwing into double coverage, and it was severely underthrown. Even if it wasn't underthrown, it probably would have been picked. If it was lobbed up there, maybe it would have been at least incomplete. But, like, Ken Dorsey calling a bomb, and then Josh Allen underthrowing it and throwing it into double coverage. Just bad on all parts there. In Josh Allen, only 17 rushing yards, that's a problem, but I'll talk about that later. Like, I'm on Rushmore, but I'll talk about that. Like, I have, like, again, 4 or 5 reasons that I think, 4 or 5 ways that this offense can improve. So, might as well hire me as the OC. No, I'm kidding, but I do have 4 or 5 ways they can improve. Next, mix. Now, this might be surprising. Stephon Diggs, 6 catches, 56 yards, or 6 catches, 58 yards, excuse me, and a touchdown. Now, I will give him credit. He would have had well over 100 if Josh Allen didn't overshoot, in my view. Josh Allen looked off today. First of all, I don't know if his shoulder was affecting him. He said it wasn't, but is that the similar case where he says last year's elbow was affecting him and it actually did? I don't know, but he looked off today. He wasn't all that. I mean, 66% is okay. It's pretty good, pretty average completion percentage. looking across the scope of the league. But he misfired. Diggs would have had well over 100 yards if he kind of laid it up there for him. There were 3 passes I could count that he overshot Diggs by a mile. He had especially one where he had wide open where it would have been a touchdown. I will say though, and he would have had first touchdown a day, but he got one the other time. But he would have had 2 if Josh had laid it up there better for him. But I will say though, Stephon Diggs, where he caught it at like the 5-yard line, then he kind of corkscrewed his way, kind of spun his way out of the defender's way, got an end zone. That was pretty sweet. So, but Diggs right at the end of the game, I mean, if he caught that, so he dropped a wide open pass, and if he had caught that, it would have been at the 30-yard line. Yeah, there was 5 seconds left, but with Josh Allen's arm, you have a pretty good shot at that, honestly, like a 64 shot at completing that. So it's in the 30-yard line. They would have been Patriots 30, so 30 yards away from the end zone. They'll go win the game, and Diggs drops it, and that's that. They tried to hook and lateral game, where they pass it here, before they fumbled it at the end of the game. So Diggs got to catch that. I will give him credit though. Josh did overshoot him on a couple, but that drop kind of hurt him. That's why he's in mix. Lastly, in mix, cornerback Taron Johnson. Now he had 4 tackles and 1 pass deflection. I thought there were a couple defensive holding penalties that he wasn't even doing anything. Like I said, the guy who was covering wasn't even targeted. He said it after the game too. But then again, he did have a couple of penalties too where it was warranted and he blew some coverages. Actually, not the very last play of the game, but the Patriots go-ahead touchdown, which ends up being the game-winning touchdown. Unfortunately, we come to find out. But the Patriots go-ahead touchdown, basically the same as last week. Taron Johnson's matched up on the tight end. He was matched up with Darren Waller last week. He got away with the holding, probably, but whatever. He stuck his ground, and they won. This week, he's matched up with Hunter Henry, and he totally blows by him. It looked like Taron Johnson wasn't even in the vicinity of him, I should say, in step with him, whatever the term is. And Hunter Henry got the best of him, and they lost. So Taron Johnson goes from the highest to highest last week to lows this week. Basically, same situations, different outcomes. Win last week, lose this week. Stock down. These are players that really disappointed me. And when I say disappointed, I mean disappointed, especially with this first player. Wide receiver Gabe Davis, 1 catch for 6 yards. You are a captain on this team. Your teammates, your fellow teammates, and players voted for you to be a captain. You're up there with Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs, at least on offense, as offensive captains. You're supposed to step up in big moments. You're not supposed to have 1 catch for 6 yards. A captain needs to have at least 5 or 6 catch, and so show some juice. Show some juice. I'm going to say I've been highly disappointed, even more than last year, with Gabe Davis this season. He doesn't get involved enough. He doesn't have production. He drops big passes. And you want to talk about drops. Just wait for this next player I'm going to bring up right now. Tight end Dawson Knox. 1 catch for 10 freaking yards. Again, you're not a captain, but that matters. But you're a $15 million a year tight end. Like 4th or 5th highest paid tight end in the league. I can't remember. I think right behind Evan Ingram. Whatever. But you're a $15 million a year tight end. So he signed it in August 2022. It was actually literally a couple of days before the Rams-Bills opening kickoff game. Funny enough. But I questioned back then. I'm questioning even more now. $15 million a year for Dawson Knox. Every single big catch he has to make, he drops. Yeah, last week, yes, Josh underthrew it a bit, but he still could have caught it. The one that would have sealed the game for the first down, but they ended up having to punt it. And then this week, he tries. Now, good thing he caught the 2-point conversion, because if he didn't catch that, we would have been totally toast and done. But Dawson Knox, and this 4th down, he drops the ball. Yes, Josh Allen threw it a little late and he was hit, but you're a $15 million a year tight end. Top 5 tight end in the league. I think he's a tad overpaid. He's probably worth 13.5 million, 13 million about. But every big moment, No big deal. Dawson Knox just drops the ball. I don't get this offense. This offense, I'm not gonna say it's broken because if the Broncos' offense is broken, I won't go that far. It's just a random name I was thinking about for broken offenses, but I don't know. Next, a couple offensive linemen, offensive tackle Deion Dawkins, guard Osiris Torrance. Now, I thought Mitch Morse, Spencer Brown, and Connor McGovern, they had a few blemishes, were okay at best. But like Deion Dawkins, he had a couple flags on himself, I think 2 in a row in this one particular drive. He got pancaked. And then guard Osiris Torrance. He stepped up to the moment. Other than like a couple games, I would say 5 out of 7 games he's been really good. And then one game he was okay, and then this game he was terrible. Christian Barmore worked him. And I mean worked. Stud Patriots nose tackle, defensive tackle on the interior. But holy crap, he worked him. Osiris Torrance had a couple flags himself, but he I can't remember. Did Josh only get sacked twice in this game, I believe? Either way, he was close against sack more because Osiris Torrance, like Christian Barmore, welcome to the league moment, rookie moment for Osiris Torrance. Oh my God, he's gonna see him in his nightmares. But the whole offensive line in general, Josh. The only reason he didn't get sacked more than 2 times because Josh is a great escape artist. He's great throwing on the run. He's great throwing the sideline, but he was on running for his life every time, and that shouldn't have happened, guys. Like Matt Judon, by far their best pass rusher, is on IR and is expected to miss 4 to 5 more weeks. Josh Uche, their second best pass rusher by far. Well, he didn't play, so he's out. And then Keon White, the third best pass rusher, who can also play defensive tackle, who's been having a pretty good rookie season. He was out. So you got your top 3 pass rushers out. And the offensive line can't handle people like Lawrence Guy, Dietrich Wise, Christian Barmore, I understand, but yeah. Lawrence Guy, Dietrich Wise. I don't even know the name of anyone else, but whoever it was, they must have been like elite, like San Francisco D line, like insane depth. Because my God, no Uche, Judon or Kean White. That's basically their whole defense because the secondary is beat up too. That's basically their whole defense line slash pass rushing group. Christian Barmore was the only notable one, but the Patriots should not have been able to generate this much pressure. Like I said, Josh only got sacked twice because he knows how to escape it. He's Josh Allen. He's an alien when it comes to like athleticism, but oh my God. Next, kicker Tyler Bass. 1 of 2 on field goals. The one he made was 36 yards. Oh, congratulations, 36 yards. But the one he missed was 43 yards, and there was only like 10, 15 mile per hour winds. They weren't that heavy and strong, kind of, but not that strong. But he missed a 52-yarder in Buffalo last week, and they were playing the Giants, and a 54-yarder as well. And then he had missed, and then he made one, then missed one. So he's 1 of 4 in his last 4 field goals over 2 games. So 1 of 4 in his last 4 field goals. That is 25% hit rate on his last 4 field goals. Again, let me read it. 1 of 4. 25% hit rate. And that's probably when McDermott went for a couple times when he did, because unfortunately he just didn't trust Tyler Bass. But that can't happen. You're like the second or third highest paid kicker in the league. You make $5 million a kicker. You pretty damn well better come through and make those field goals. That's a lot of money for a kicker. So Tyler Bass struggled the last couple games. Then we'll get into some defense players. Couple of linebacker next to Terrell Bernard. Linebacker Dorian Williams, 5 tackles. Linebacker Tyrell Dotson, 7 tackles and 1 tackle for loss. Dotson looked a little better. Okay, so here's the context. Dorian Williams started the game at weak side / outside linebacker next to Terrell Bernard. And they kind of, not the luxury, but they knew that there wouldn't be much of a drop-off. They switched in Tyrell Dotson because it's not like Terrell Bernard where they call the whole defense and a communication drop-off they would fear. But Dorian Williams was benched because he played fast. Like Tremaine Edmonds had this problem too. He played really fast. He's a fun player, but Edmonds had this problem too, where Dorian Williams plays fast. But he takes bad angles because he plays too fast and he over pursues a lot. And he did that quite a bit in this game, and he missed some run fills and some nice tackles stops there. So Tyrell Dotson was doing, but I don't think he did much better. I don't think he did worse. Maybe he did a tad better, but maybe he was a bit more aggressive as a downhill player. But I don't know. I'll talk about that when I get to my final thoughts and questions for this other linebacker spot, forecasting it for the rest of the season or the foreseeable future. Next to Terrell Bernard. And then next, couple secondary players, corner Dane Jackson, who only recorded 7 tackles. Cornerback Christian Benford as well, stock down, 4 tackles, 1 tackle for loss. The whole secondary had multiple penalties between all of them. Taron Johnson, who I put in mixed again. But Christian Benford and Dane Jackson had multiple penalties between the both of them. And yikes. Even when they didn't have penalties, they were out of position. I mean, Christian Benford was giving up catches to Kendrick Bourne. Okay? A player they barely used in the last couple of years. This season, he's having quote-unquote breakout season, but I just don't get it. Like, Christian, they were multiple flags and penalties. And then the 3 defensive tackles that were supposed to come in for Ed Oliver and kind of supplement his loss. Poona Ford only had 4 tackles. Tim Settle, 1 tackle. Jordan Phillips, 1 pass deflection with a tip pass. Congratulations. What did any of these defensive tackles do in the essence of Ed Oliver? It showed. The run defense was very shaky at times. The run after catch was very, very shaky. They got no penetration other than AJ Epinesa, that 1 QB hit. No one got any pressure. Jordan Phillips, at least he's serviceable. But Poona Ford, I was expecting so much more from this team. And Tim Settle, I don't care. I would have come after last year. Either free agents offseason, don't even think about resigning him. You got other guys, other defensive tackles to resign, and not to mention players on offense like Gabe Davis for 1 and a couple tackles. What is Tim Settle? This is a second year with us with the Bills. What has Tim Settle done to warrant anything? In the 2 years, so going on year 2, on the 2 years with the Bills, he's done absolutely nothing. And don't say health, because he's only missed 1 game. I mentioned this before. He's missed 1 game in his 2-year Bills career so far. That was last year because he was dinged up with a hamstring or whatnot. Whatever it was. I can't remember exactly, but what has he done? I don't understand. We were clearly missing Ed Oliver because Ed Oliver is having a breakout season plus more this year. And the defensive tackle depth that's behind him, I'll say it's awful. It's horrible. So, but I'll talk about that later as it relates to trades. And then one defensive end, Greg Rousseau, 1 tackle. He was having a breakout season too. Maybe not the sack numbers that Ed Oliver had or AJ Epinesa had, but he's a great run stopper from defensive end spot. And Shaq Lawson didn't show up either. I didn't have him on here because it's Shaq Lawson, whatever, but mainly Greg Rousseau. I loved how he combined to start the season power, speed, athleticism, and length. He didn't do any of that. Again, other than AJ Epinesa, nobody on the defensive line did anything. It tells you when your only sack in the day comes from a safety, it tells you something. That the defensive line couldn't get a single lick of pressure. I'll read it. When your only sack of the day comes from a safety in Jordan Poyer, a safety, then that means your D-line didn't show up whatsoever. Safety shouldn't have to be relying on to get sacks. That's your D-line's job. Get moving. Next, offensive coordinator Ken Dorsey. I already talked about how called that blame bomb in the very first play of the game for Josh Allen. Totally unnecessary, dude. I just don't know. I'm going to talk about Ken Dorsey's future in a minute, but right now for this specific game, he fails to get everyone involved. And I guess I'll go on the next point here. The lack of involvement for weapons other than Stephon Diggs and Dalton Kincaid is starting to annoy me. Gabe Davis and Dawson Knox aren't reliable, but you got to get some other people going. Deontay Hardy, Trent Sherfield, Khalil Shakir, who showed some nice moments today. I mean, you have weapons. My God, spread it around, Ken Dorsey. It's not the offense is Dalton Kincaid had his breakout game, but for the most part, the offense is much, much too congested to Stephon Diggs. And I didn't want to believe this. I'll have to rewatch the game on YouTube TV recording, but I didn't want to believe this. People were saying, other Bills Mafia members and Bills fans were saying, Josh Allen ignores wide open targets to force the ball with Stephon Diggs. And I didn't believe it, but this week I saw it. James Cook was open in the flat a few times. Gabe Davis and Dawson Knox were open, although they were very unreliable, but they were still open. And he forces it to Stephon Diggs. And it's either incomplete or picked off a lot. I love Stephon Diggs, but he's been told Stephon Diggs is the man, get the ball to 14, or he'll get upset. Like, I don't want him upset. Hold on. I don't want him upset, but like, if he gets upset, so be it. This is a whole offense, not just Diggs. I'm not blaming him at all here, but like, spread it around, Josh. He ignores wide open targets to force it to Diggs. But Ken Dorsey, holy crap, there's no balance. I haven't enjoyed watching this team in terms of balance since week 4 against the Dolphins when they won 48-20. It's just been a slog lately. And then penalties, I mean, Osiris Torrance had a couple. Dean Dawkins had a couple. Taron Johnson had like 3 or 4. 2 or 3 of them, though, I didn't agree with. Dane Jackson had a couple. Christian Benford had a couple. There weren't as many penalties on offense. There were a few, like I said, with a couple offensive linemen and Torrance and Dawkins, but on defense especially, I mean, come on. McDermott probably went crazy. And then tackling, or lack of tackling, I should say. The missed tackles are pitiful. Dude, basically everybody missed a tackle in this game. The one that stands out is the defensive tackles against Ramondre Stevenson and Dorian Williams before he got pulled out. Tyrell Dodson was okay, I guess. And then Dorian Williams before he got yanked for Tyrell Dodson, like I just said. What is this? This defense is over aggressive sometimes. They pursue too much. Other than Jordan Poyer and AJ Epinesa and Micah Hyde, those few select players, everyone on defense struggled. Whole defensive line. Again, other than those few select players, whole defensive line, whole secondary, and Terrell Bernard. And then the linebackers and Dorian Williams and Tyrell Dodson. What is up with this missed tackling? This has got to improve. Now, since I talked about Ken Dorsey, I said to you guys, I've said a few times, alluded to that, I have ways to fix this offense. Now, I did some research before this before this episode, and I kind of want to share you guys the observations I found, at least. Like, these are, okay, so I have kind of 5 ways that I think prove this offense. Number 1, I think going up tempo to start games, handing Josh Allen the reins and let him create in a basically a no huddle barrage on the Bucks' defense. So this Thursday, I know maybe the idea is to save that for the Bengals game, which is next Sunday. Yeah, next Sunday. I'll have to get the date, but next Sunday. But do some no huddle. I'm sick of waiting. This is so freaking annoying. I'm sick of waiting till the 4th quarter for this team to wake up and act like they're alive. I'm sick of waiting till the 4th quarter every week for this team to wake up and act like they're a capable NFL franchise. They go no huddle in the 4th quarter in the last couple of drives. Freaking great. Do it to start the game. Have some freaking urgency to start the game. Don't go by whole game and just sleepwalk the whole time. Oh, yeah, we'll get it in the 4th quarter. We'll come back. Yeah. And then end up losing. Cut it out. Ken Dorsey needs to let Josh Allen have free reign of the offense and let him go up tempo, no huddle, whatever crap you need to do. And then next, I think that would help. And then James Cook needs to be at 80% of snaps, even if he's not getting a target. Now, I know that might not be realistic because he's not the best pass blocker in the world. He's improved, though. I've been pleasantly surprised at that aspect of the game. But I think this will help a lot with the balance of the offense. James Cook was at 52% snaps yesterday. What are we doing? Come on. An RB1 like James Cook, who's very athletic, only gets 52% of snaps. I know Sean McDermott's philosophy over the years, we trust veterans. He's shown that with Dane Jackson. He's shown that with Latavius Murray with the running backs, because 52% of snaps. Only for James Cook and 48% for Latavius Murray, so nearly identical, but enough messing around. James Cook needs to be out there for 80% of snaps. That'd help with the balance, and that'd help give some juice, because there's not real athletic guys in this team. Like, Diggs is a great route runner, but he's not the most athletic in the world. Davis isn't really even close to athletic. He's just a big play guy, if that, because he only had 1 catch for 6 yards. And James Cook would help with the athleticism problem. So get his snaps up to 80%. 52% is way too little. Next, Gabe Davis needs a dramatic snap percent drop. The failure to involve Deontay Hardy has to be remedied, has to be fixed. It's unacceptable. Deontay Hardy's speed, his athleticism, his burst, it's all on display a couple of times a game. Even if he's just running a simple route down the field, open up the damn playbook, launch it downfield, and use his speed to your ability. I think Gabe Davis' snaps need to drop significantly. I don't care that he's a captain. He needs to show up. Send him a message. Gabe, if you continue to be consistent, move your butt to the bench. Or at least not get nearly as many snaps. So if that's how he wants to disappoint, then that's how he can go. I mean, Davis is a good player, but if he's not consistent, then why is he playing so much? The Bills need to lean into. Now, this might be bold me to say, because I was the biggest 12 personnel when Kincaid was drafted, and 2 tight end sets are going to be deadly in this offense. But I think they need to lean into traditional 11 personnel a bit more. And if that's the case, have it be Dalton Kincaid. Like the Gabe Davis situation, Dawson Knox, severely underwhelming. I don't care that he's $15 million a year player, tight end, top 5 highest paid tight end in the league, $15 million a year once again. I don't care. Send his butt to the bench. If he can't be consistent, if he drops in the biggest moments like he has been basically his whole career, especially this year, then move him to the bench. Send him a message. Get Kincaid going. Have Quentin Morris out there for blocking, but I'm talking about Kincaid. Kincaid might usurp him. And then lastly, maybe, I mean, I'm not saying they'll need this against the Bucs, but Allen's going to have to start running again. I don't want to say he's scared out of it, but he might be a little fearful because all he heard from the media and coaches and other players maybe this last few years was he takes too many big hits. He puts himself in dangerous situations. His body isn't going to hold up this long. He's 27 years old. Yada, yada, yada. There's a smart way to run, Josh, and you got to take off. That's the best part of his game. Now, don't be spinning and don't be trying to hurdle guys slide. That's the smart way to run, but he's got to run a lot more. There's a balance, and he hasn't struck that balance if you will. So those are my opinions on how to fix this offense. I mean, if you agree, let me know in the comments below. But also Ken Dorsey. This might be bold of me to say. I really don't care. If you guys disagree, let me know. If you don't, then good. If we lose Thursday night against the Bucs in 3 days, which holy crap, catastrophe if we do. And it's first, let me get this out of the way. It's rare to say that intra-conference game, so that means the opposite conference game is a must-win because AFC versus NFC. But this is a must-win. If you fall to 4-4, you're at 500. And if you don't win this division, which that might be out the window at this point, and you're not going to get the 1 seed, that's definitely out the window. Chiefs are finally heating up. And the must-win games that you were supposed to win against the Jags and Jets and freaking Patriots, you didn't. And they're 2-3 against the AFC overall. But what was I saying? This is a must-win game. If you adopt a 4-4, you're a wildcard team, and you don't want to get in that wildcard mess with the AFC because there's legitimately 9, 10, maybe 11 in some cases here and there where teams can make the playoffs. I mean, the supposedly bottom feeder teams, the Texans are sneaky. The Colts were, but whatever. The Browns, I mean, Steelers won yesterday. They're 4-2. So the Bills dropped to 4-3, and they're 7th in AFC right now. And newsflash, there are 7 playoff teams each conference, 7 AFC playoff teams. So the Bills are the very last playoff team right now. But after that preface is over, I want to say if we lose Thursday night and this offense doesn't wake up until the 4th quarter once again and is too congested with Stephon Diggs and doesn't continue to get Dalton Kincaid involved and other weapons, I'm canning Ken Dorsey. See you later. What's the phrase saying? Don't let the door hit you on the way out. I don't care. That might seem brutal and harsh. Don't care. I would have fired him after last season. Like the guy, it frustrates me a lot, and he doesn't have a balanced attack. And then when he does, it's in the stupidest situations. Just if we lose, he's fired. See you later. Pack your bag. See you later. And I think McDermott will have to hire, and then Joe Brady, the QB coach, can be the pseudo offensive coordinator for a year until they find one next year, the interim, if you will. But I think another reason, kind of not. I'm not blaming McDermott, but I think he's going to have to hire an actual defensive coordinator last year. I know it's been going pretty well, minus this past game yesterday, all things considered, for McDermott calling the defense. But um, he's got to be more invested in the offense again. Clearly, he's given the reins fully over to Ken Dorsey, and it's just not working. So if we lose, see Ken Dorsey, and I want McDermott, and I expect them to hire a actual defensive coordinator next year. Next, my big slice of the game award, who really stood out, who really made an impact, player of the game, none other than Mr. Rookie, tight end, Dalton Kincaid. 8 catches for 75 yards, didn't have a touchdown, but still had a monster game. He needs to be a staple in this offense moving forward. Burnt slice of the game award. So I explain this as this. Define it as this. Say you go out, you get pizza every Friday night with family, friends, both, or whatever. And you go to this local pizza shop, and they always have the best pizza. But this one Friday night comes back burnt, and you're very disappointed. Well, that's what this player is. So the burnt slice of the game award goes to wide receiver Gabe Davis. And I don't care if he's a captain. If he continues to not improve, if he continues to keep disappearing in the biggest moments, just like Dawson Knox, send him to the bench. Or at least dramatically drop his staff from up here to way down here. And have Deontay Hardy play more. Have Trent Sherfield or Khalil Shakir play more. I don't care. Have somebody else play more. So he gets burnt slice of game award, Gabe Davis. Reflecting on 5 game predictions from preview, I'm just not going to hide it. These are terrible. Going through these quick because they're awful. 4 different players in offense have touchdowns. Didn't happen. Josh had a rushing touchdown, and then Stephon Diggs and James Cook had a receiving touchdown. That's what I mean. James Cook, it snaps up to 80% snaps on offense because he's athletic and speedy. Next, Dalton Kincaid gets his first touchdown of the season. Didn't happen, although Kincaid did have a breakout game. Again, 8 catches for 75 yards. Third, James Cook has 150 yards from scrimmage, so rushing and receiving combined didn't happen. He had 102, 56 rushing, 46 receiving. 56 plus 46 is 102, obviously. Quick math, so yeah. He didn't have 150, but he was kind of close, I guess. Von Miller gets his first sack of the season. Didn't happen. Von Miller only played the first half. I guess they're continuing to ramp him up still. And Bills win the game. I predicted 31-21. That didn't happen. They lost 29-25. Complete disaster joke. Final thoughts, those questions. I have quite a bit here compared to past weeks. Certain thoughts about certain positions, maybe certain people in this organization. 41 pass attempts for Josh Allen is a bit too much for my liking. Actually, a lot too much. Like Ken Dorsey, we need a more balanced attack, especially with a guy who has kind of an shoulder right now. 41 pass attempts, it's going to make it worse. Ideally, I only want Josh Allen to have 29 to 31 pass attempts a game. I know that maybe that's not his mentality, but Dorsey has got to stop. I mean, 41 pass attempts, that's like 10 or 11 more than I want him to because 29 to 31. Next, Latavius Murray could have been used a lot more in some short yardage situations. And I thought we would see at least a few touches on offense for Ty Johnson, but that didn't happen. He was the kick returner for Damian Harris, as Deontay Harris is the punt returner. Next, I want to see more production from the Shakir Hardy Sherfield group. Oh my God. Sherfield hasn't really shown much, but Hardy and Shakir have. They've made some nice catches and use Hardy's speed, knock down Gabe Davis's snaps quite a bit, ramp up Deontay Hardy's snap percentage quite a bit. I mean, it's ridiculous. Next, Gabe Davis fails to meet the moment and step up. He's a 3rd/4th option in NFL offense. Perfect 3rd/4th option. When he's a 2nd option, disaster. That means you don't have good enough weapons around him. But the thing is, the Bills do have good enough weapons around him, I feel like. They just don't use them. And this feels like I'm bagging on Gabe Davis this episode. I am. I'm not hiding it. It's a captain. Highly disappointing. Think back to his rookie year, 2020. So Stephon Diggs' first year in Buffalo. So Gabe Davis, 4th-round pick out of UCF, University of Central Florida there. 4th-round pick out of UCF, rookie. He made a spectacular sideline catches. That was his MO that year. Spectacular sideline catches. So Stefon Diggs, his first year in Buffalo, was the first option in the offense. Then it was John Brown. Then it was Cole Beasley as the third option, and then it was Gabe Davis as the fourth option. Next, fast forward a year, Gabe's second year in league in 2021. Gabe's second year in league, as I just said, 2021. Stefon Diggs is still the first option. We still had John Brown, right? Yeah, John Brown is the second. No, wait, didn't. Emmanuel Sanders is the second option. Cole Beasley is the third option. Dawson Knox is the fourth option for his breakout, and Gabe Davis is actually a fifth option, so even better. But last year in 2022, so not this current season, last year in 2022, Diggs first option, and then Gabe Davis second option, Isaiah McKenzie third option. McKenzie didn't step up, but more Gabe Davis. I feel like when you elevated his role, he couldn't step up. So, and this year, again, you're elevating his role, he can't step up. So ideally, I want it to be first option Stefon Diggs, obviously, but I want second option to be Dalton Kincaid. I said when he was drafted, if you recall in this podcast, by 2020, we weren't on video at the time, but not even close. But by 2024, I want Dalton Kincaid to be firmly the second option in this passing offense. Why can't that happen right now, though, this season? He's actually shown it. I want Diggs to be the first option, clear first option. Dalton Kincaid, clear second option. Then after that, Knox can be a third option, or Davis can be a third option, or flip it where Davis is the third option. My point is, Davis can't be a top two option, in my opinion, in NFL offense. He's ideally a third/fourth option in an NFL offense. Next, Kincaid eating into Knox's work and usage is interesting. And honestly warranted if Kincaid continues to be more reliable and consistent than Knox. Also, Kincaid needs to continue to be involved heavily in the offense moving forward. This can't just be a 1 week thing. The Bills can't just pick a guy every week and involve everyone. They can't just Ken Dorsey can't just use like quote unquote flavor of the week. This isn't like some roulette here. If a guy shows that he's capable and well above capable lines, then use him. I mean, duh. I don't know why it took this long to unlock Dalton Kincaid, but if they're going to go more 11 traditional personnel group, then Kincaid can be the lone tight on the field. Bench Knox, he's been unreliable. So the defensive tackles behind Ed Oliver are so disappointing. Jordan Phillips, Tim Settle, Poona Ford. We have a real issue at defensive tackle, and I don't care about Tim Settle. Don't re-sign him. Don't resign Poona Ford. Maybe you resign Jordan Phillips. What's the plan? This is kind of a question. What's the plan to other linebackers next to Bernard moving forward? Is it Dorian Williams? Is it Tyrell Dodson? Or is a trade coming maybe? And speaking of trades, I think Brandon Beane desperately needs to make a trade or two before the deadline to give this team some added juice and a spark. Because the NFL trade deadline is Tuesday, actually on Halloween. So next Tuesday, October 31st, 4 p.m. Eastern, all trades have to be completed and filed to the league office and all that. I might do a stream here from 3 to 4 Eastern. I'm not sure yet. But Brandon Beane needs to make a move or two here. And these are the 5 biggest priorities, in my opinion, and these are in order. First, I would prioritize trading for a defensive tackle, then a cornerback, then a linebacker, then a wide receiver, then a running back. I am planning over the next handful of days, maybe this weekend too. Might record a video on a weekend. It's pretty rare, but the next handful of days, starting tomorrow, hopefully, I'm planning, to do spotlights. So I'll trade spotlights. So I'll mention some defensive tackles the Bills can trade for, corners, linebackers, wide receiver, running backs, so on and so forth. Some trade targets. Next, let's talk about the AFC East check-in. So the Jets were on a bye this week, as I said in the preview. Bills-Patriots, and just went on a whole episode rant. Patriots beat Bills 29-25. Dolphins at Eagles on Sunday Night Football last night. Eagles beat Dolphins 31-17. The Eagles were letting them hang around in the fourth quarter till like the last few drives, I should say. They should have beaten them by like 40-17 or 41-17. The Dolphins, I have some questions because I said this in the preview and it ended up happening. When they go up against bad teams, they win. When they go up against good teams like the Bills and Eagles, they get blown out. So I don't know. I'm not calling out Dolphins fans. So if you're a Dolphin fan watching this, I'm not saying anything wrong about your team. I'm just saying facts. AFC East standings. So, like I said, Bills are 7th in the AFC as a whole, but where are they in the AFC East? AFC standings after week 7. Dolphins are 5-2. I don't know how we're going to win the division at this point. It's the way we're playing. Bills are 4-3. Jets are 3-3. Patriots are 2-5. If we lose Thursday and the Jets win, we'll be 4-4. Jets will be 4-3, and we'll be behind the Jets. That's awful. So AFC standings again. We got Dolphins, Bills, Jets, Patriots, and the Bills currently sit a 4-3 record. Anyways, guys, this has been today's episode of Around the Slice for Monday, October 23rd with the Staple Reaction Show. Let me get a few things out of the way. You can follow me on Twitter personally at AWeingarten13. You can follow the podcast /show on Twitter at Around Slice for any scheduling updates, news, any of that about episode teases, whatever. If you want to support me on Patreon, basically, it's a way for you guys to donate to the podcast if you like my work. And I can, for just $3 a month, you get extra exclusive content. For example, power rankings every Tuesday afternoon, I should say. Well, Tuesday, explaining 1 through 32 and indicating how each team moved up or down compared to the previous weeks. Looking at this is a Bills podcast, but on that, I look at the league as a whole. So you can go to patreon.com/aroundtheslice. Again, only $3 a month. By no means is it required, though. It's just an extra layer, I should say, of engagement if you'd like it. And I appreciate it. And then you can listen/watch this podcast on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcast. I thank you for tuning in today. This is a quick turnaround. Bills got a game in 3 days, so I'll be back in 2 days on Wednesday, October 25th for my Bills Bucks preview. This is a must-win game. I don't care if it's NFC. I don't care if it's the Bucks. I'm not underestimating anyone anymore. This team looks lackluster, and if we lose, Ken Dorsey, Cannon, see you later. So, anyways, guys, I will be back in a couple days, Wednesday, October 25th, for that preview, and I will see you next time. Expect a lot of videos this week relating to trades and trade deadline and Bills targets, and maybe a stream next Tuesday on Halloween and trade deadline, maybe a little bit of both. Anyways, see you later. Bye.